Alright, so today we're going over a really useful prompt, specifically if you already have a digital product and you're trying to find an upsell for it. So this prompt is super beginner friendly and easy to use, and it's ready to use. All you have to do is simply copy it from the description of the video or the pinned comment. That's where you can get it. You copy it, hit paste into ChatGPT like so, hit enter, and you'll be pretty much good to go. As you see, it starts with the intake questionnaire, and it's going to be asking us a series of questions to basically get an understanding of what our product is initially, what our niche is, who we are, what we're trying to do, and then it'll help us develop an upsell so we can actually get more sales from our initial product. So if you guys don't have a product, you can use one of our other prompts that you can find in another one of our videos, where we go into depth on how you can basically create your own digital product from scratch. We have a ton of prompts where we go into all kinds of different details on digital products, but this one specifically is for upselling. So as you see here, the first question is, what is your main offer? Include product, service type, price, and what the buyer gets. So I'm going to go over these questions super quickly as opposed to answering them one by one. And then we'll go over them one by one just to give you the gist of exactly what comes out of this prompt. All right, so I went ahead and answered these series of intake questions, so we'll go over them super quickly here. So as you see here, the first one is, what is your main offer? Following the theme that we've done in a few of our recent videos, I went with an anxiety recovery guide, and buyer gets a PDF for $49. That is what the product is, or the service type, the price, and what the buyer gets. It then asks, who is the exact buyer? I said, they ask basically to describe the situation, problem, and goal. I said just someone trying to overcome anxiety. What result or improvement does the main offer help with? I said understanding the recovery process and hopefully implementing it. It then asks, what does the buyer usually need next after buying the main offer? I said not sure. So I'm answering these questions extremely generally, following the template of what we used in other videos, but I'm answering generally just to show you guys the way that this works. I highly recommend that when you're answering this, to answer as descriptively and honestly as possible and give as much detail as possible. That way ChatGPT can understand your situation and you can get the most out of the prompt. But by doing this, it'll still give you a decent response. You don't have to be super detailed, as you can see from what I'm doing right here. Now, take note, in this case right here, I'm saying not sure intentionally just to show you guys that you can also not be sure and it'll still produce results for you. So for instance, what does the buyer usually need after buying the main offer? In this case, I'm actually not sure. And if you're not sure, you can do the exact same thing and ChatGPT will fill in the blanks for us. So the next question is, what part of the process is hardest, slowest, most confusing? I once again said not sure, since I'm not actually selling this product. It's a template. Then it asks, what extra assets could you realistically create? I said all of the above, you choose. So you can also ask ChatGPT to choose for you if you're having a difficult time, and it can use evidence-based, analytics or anything that you can provide to basically come up with the ideas and select one that fits your niche best. Then it asks, what price range feels realistic for the upsell? I said ideally cheaper with implementation value. I'm going off of the assumption that maybe someone that just bought a $49 guide won't want to spend a lot more money afterward, so a little upsell for like $9 or $19 might be better off here. Where will the upsell appear? I went ahead and said checkout page, but you can ask it to do it for you or come up with your own version that you prefer. For instance, Gumroad, Beacon, sales page, wherever you like. What claims, tactics, or angles do you want to avoid? I just went with all of the above because, ChatGPT named some that actually made sense here, so I just went with that. After that, it actually goes and starts to create our upsell. So upsell fit diagnosis, it tells us your best upsell should not be more theory. Your main guide already helps people understand anxiety recovery, not the natural next step is help me apply this when I'm anxious, confused, or spiraling. So it goes over what they believe, what they still need help with, and it goes over what we can be utilizing here to actually create an upsell. Then it gives us 10 ethical upsell ideas. So for instance, an anxiety recovery implementation kit, a 30-day recovery practice plan, symptom response cards, morning anxiety reset kit, anxiety spiral, exit, and all kinds of different things that are, on the cheaper end. As you see here, it gives us the suggested price, what it is, the difficulty for upselling, the best placement, and the biggest risks. And And because we said we wanted one on the cheaper end, it gives everything cheaper, with the worst one being the 60-minute Q&A call, where it would be $99+, where it's hard to upsell in every situation, especially after selling something for $49, I would imagine. So it gives us an upsell ranking, and it basically scores each of the potential upsells out of 10 with grades right here. So the highest one is the Anxiety Recovery Implementation Kit, which you can utilize just like so. And we see here recommendations. Best first upsell, the Anxiety Recovery Implementation Kit. Best low effort upsell, the Symptom Response Cards. Best premium upsell. So it's all a measure of what exactly we're trying to upsell for. Do we want a higher ticket or a lower ticket? In this case, we said with the lower ticket, so it's saying that this is the better option for us. So best upsell to build first, it gives us the exact one, the promise that we can use, what it helps the buyer do, what's included in it, who it's for, who is it not for, the suggested price, so $19, pretty decent upsell. Value explanation, we can explain what they get, the delivery format, another PDF, the creation checklist, and the checkout upsell copy. So it gives us a whole copy of what that would look like. So add the Anxiety Recovery Implementation Kit, and it gives us basically a clean upsell. So upsell versions that you can have in the checkout, post-purchase upsell, email upsell, and on and on and on. So as you can see, this prompt is extremely in-depth, and it helps you create something that you can actually utilize to make more money after your first sale. Then we get here the 7-day upsell testing plan. So it gives us a plan for us to test and see if it actually works. You can follow this if you like. Once again, this prompt is super in-depth, designed so you can actually see if it works and then make a decision whether or not you want to keep it. So it gives us the final upsell blueprint, the best checkout copy to use, the best CTA to use, and one upsell idea to avoid. So at the end, you can ask it, can you actually create the upsell PDF for me? And it can actually just create it for you at this point, and you can just literally use this to upsell after you actually sell your product. In this case, right, like I don't actually have a product, and I'm asking it to just create one for me, a secondary product, and you can do the same. Take note, however, whenever you have ChatGPT create you a product like this, let's say in this case it is a anxiety implementation guide or whatever it was that they said for the upsell, it's going to sound very AI-like. So I highly recommend that you edit it a little bit and make it sound more natural in your own tone. Maybe use Grammarly, put it into a different AI engine as well, just to, try and change it up a little bit so it sounds more natural and not just purely from ChatGPT, because people can sniff that out. And if you sell one thing and then you're upselling another like overly AI written product, a lot of people won't like that. So it's best to just, add your own flavor to it, at least a little bit. So as you can see here, it is actually building us a PDF that we can upsell on our initial anxiety recovery guide product. But it will actually do this, and it is creating it in a PDF format. Take note, this might take a little while because it's creating a whole thing for us to actually upsell. So once again, if you guys want the prompt and you want to steal it, you can take it from the description of the video or the pinned comment. And, you just copy it, hit paste into ChatGPT, hit enter, answer all of the intake questions as descriptively and honestly as possible with as much detail possible to get the most out of it. And then you'll basically be on the road to creating your first upsell for your digital product. And once again, if you don't want to create it yourself, you could just have ChatGPT do it for you, and it'll do just like this and create you a product that you can utilize immediately. Now, once again, do your best to edit it and make it sound more natural. Maybe even, take the content from that, put it into Canva and create your own version somehow. That's what I would personally do and recommend. But if not, you technically can just use what they produce for you. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and have a nice day.